Hi, I'm Michelle Chalfant, psychotherapist, holistic life coach, and human just like you, learning to navigate life's challenges. With over 25 years experience, I teach people how to get healthy using the adult chair model. The adult chair model is where simple psychology meets grounded spirituality, and it teaches us how to become healthy adults. From anxiety and depression to codependency and relationship issues, you can use the adult chair for just about anything. Each week, I share practical tips, tools, and advice from myself and a wide range of experts on how to get unstuck, how to live authentically, and how to truly love yourself, all while sitting in your adult chair. Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast, Dr. Dain Heer. It's so nice to have you here.
Oh, Michelle, it's great to be here. Thank you.
So today, I'm so excited. I was just telling you, like the adult chair model that I created is all about living consciously, and how perfect to have you on talking about further consciousness and expanding consciousness.
Thank you. I am honored to be here. And speaking of models, you should be a model.
Oh,
I don't know
you're
does the podcast go out on video? Because if it doesn't, y'all got to see Michelle, okay?
We're on YouTube. Yeah. We're on YouTube. Thank you. So are you. Thank you. Yeah, we'll be on YouTube. You can see us on YouTube. I want to talk to you about, I was just saying before we started this, like maybe becoming unlimited. I want to talk about becoming unlimited and changing our reality. My favorite topics.
Mine too. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah, I love it. So why don't you, because I don't know who knows about Access Consciousness that has listened to this or that is going to listen to this. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? I love your story. I've listened to it a few times actually. And then how you came to be the person you are today. Like tell us a little bit about, your timeline of events and your journey getting here.
Where to start? As a little kid, I actually grew up with my mom in the ghetto area of Los Angeles, and we had very little money. And I experienced a lot of unkindness, a lot of abuse, but also a lot of kindness and a lot of love from certain people. And so as I got older, what I really wanted to do was make people happy, create miracles in their lives, and change the world. And I guess I was just wired that way, we are who we are.
Yeah.
And we can change a lot of that, by the way. And so I got to a point 20 years ago where I became a chiropractor. I was starting my second practice. And the reason I became a chiropractor was because I truly wanted to create miracles for people. And I wasn't seeing it show up in my practice at all. So I felt like I was ineffective in that area. I had what everybody thought was a perfect girlfriend for me, except we weren't getting along and she didn't really like me. And I'm like, I love you. She's like, well, I don't like you at all. Why are we together?
No.
And but I solved that problem. I was very smart as a way that some people do. I asked her to marry me because our relationship was so bad that I figured that would solve it.
Oh no.
Which just made it way worse all of a sudden. And so I got to a point where I was tired of waking up unhappy. I'd woken up unhappy for the better part of 3 years. And when people would ask me what I wanted to be when I would grow up, like literally my grandmother said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, happy. And she said, no, you don't understand the question. Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be an actor? Do you want to be a lawyer? Do you want to be a garbage man? I said, yes, as long as I'm happy. And we never came to agreement on that subject. I knew that's what I wanted, and I hadn't had that. And I'm a seeker. I was reading books. I was going to weekend workshops. I was doing every darn thing I could that seemed to work for everybody else. And sometimes it would feel like it was working for me. And then by Wednesday of the following week, it felt like the universe caved in on my head again and everything went away. And it literally was on a Wednesday, over 20 years ago now, that exact thing happened. And I said, universe, I'm done. Either my life changes or I'm out of here. And I set a date to end my life. And I came across something called Access Consciousness. A week later, there was this tiny ad in the paper, and it said, Access, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And it had this girl's phone number. Well, I didn't see it that way. And I got so angry that somebody would say that because my life was pain, suffering, and gory at the time. And I threw the paper away. Well, the paper comes out once a week in Santa Barbara. The only thing my eyes focused on was this little ad as I'm flipping through the paper the following week. And I learned long before that, and I had the same reaction. And the thing is, I learned long before that, if you love it or hate it, there's something there for you. So I called the girl and I'm like, what do you do? And she said, well, probably a good place to start. And here I am just angry on the other side, angry at my life, angry at myself for not being able to create what I wanted. And I'm talking to a marshmallow on the other end of the line, right? And how do you get angry at a marshmallow,
Yeah, right.
And all this stuff, all this just like right, wrong, all that sort of stuff just started kind of melting. And I was like, this is different. So anyway, I had a session of something called Access Consciousness bars. And it's a real light touch at these different points on the head. Well, I started out and she puts her hands on my head and I'm like, okay, I'm in California. I've done a lot of weird stuff. Okay, fine. And there was this energy that started going through my body. And I was like, whoa, this is different. This feels really good. About 15 minutes into the session, I started laughing like a little kid. I was like, and I literally was depressed and suicidal at the start of the session.
Wow.
I was looking forward to ending my life.
Yeah.
And an hour, 15 minutes later, I get up and I have a level of peace and a level of gratitude for being alive. And I remember looking out at the sky and the clouds and the sun, and I was like, wow, has it always been this beautiful here? If it can be this way to be alive, I'm in. And from that moment, all I wanted was for people to know that's possible. Whether they choose it or not is up to them. But I want them to know it's possible because I needed it and I had to search to find it. And I'm like, I'm going to do everything I can to let people know that this is available and that this is possible. But it wasn't just that hands-on session. What she did is she gave me a tool to use every week until we got together again. Mm-hmm. And so what happened was when the universe wanted to cave in on my head again, I would use a tool and I would just do it. Sometimes it was just a question to ask or a perspective to take or something. Mm-hmm. And it would go away, it would change. And I was like, oh my God, not only do I have this amazing level of peace that keeps growing in my life, but when it wants to go away, I've got a way of changing it. And I was so excited. From that moment, I started getting so excited to be alive. I literally never contemplated killing myself again. Wow. And now it's been an exploration of like, how far can we go? Right. How far beyond the rabbit hole can we go, And how great are we truly? And what does it take for us to access that, but also to live it in our lives?
Mm. Wow. Amazing. So tell people. So wait, I have like 5 questions. I'm like, hold on. let me scan for the one. So
I know the feeling. That
the ADD. Yeah, awesome. Totally. It's the ADHD. Totally. I'm like, bing, bing, bing. I'm like, wait, I don't want to forget any of them. Hold on. Wait a minute. Because I had 4 or 5 questions. So here's my first question. Clearly, I guess I'm looking for validation. It lasted, correct? Like, yes. So did it last from is it an energy type of treatment? I know bars, like they put their fingers on your head kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did it last from that, or did it last from the questioning that you were doing? That feels like it carried it, correct?
Yeah, it did. And it's actually both. It's kind of like what bars do is they dissipate the electromagnetic component of thought and judgment. Mm-hmm. So look, the pool guy's here. Cool. Yeah.
And I just saw a bird hopping around right on your head.
Welcome to my house. If you're lucky, you'll see the peacocks.
That's what it was. I have wild turkeys in my backyard.
Oh, that's awesome. God love the South.
Yeah, know? Right. I know, right?
Yeah. And so it's like, so with that, the positive and negative charge that most people live with starts to dissipate. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people talk about being neutral, or for me, it's actually being able to be present. But when something that looks negative comes up out here, you don't have a negative thing to attach to it. You don't have to fight it anymore. You can look at it and go, oh, okay, that's interesting. And so
you're witnessing it. You're witnessing it instead of getting lost in that thing outside of you.
Exactly that.
Gotcha.
And bars gives you the space to start being that, but it does so much. People have asked me to describe it. I'm like, how do you describe a sunrise? Yeah. How do you describe the first time you're hugged by somebody who truly cares about you? It's like, how do you describe falling in love? It's something that's so much more than the words that we can use to describe it. But then, so you have that as a possibility. And I'm not saying, what I got happens for everybody who gets it. you know?
Sure.
They gets what they gets.
Sure.
And
Yeah, right.
that's part of the beauty of it, because we are where we are and we receive it at whatever level that is. But then the tools started creating a space where I could have that space more and more and more. And
Mm-hmm.
so rather than just being sustainable, you know, I got to this level of peace and it's sustainable. What it's created is this continuous upward movement. And
Mm.
for the last 20 years, I've been part of creating the tools and exploring, because what we do is we look at where people are functioning, and we
Mhm.
look at what is actually underneath that creates them choosing these things that aren't actually working, but they keep choosing them,
Yeah.
or what keeps them choosing less than they know they could and should somehow. And we find
Mm-hmm.
a way to unlock it. And then we add that tool to the access toolbox, and then everybody has access to
A
it.
new tool. So you're
Yeah.
changing the default mode network of the brain, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So tell us how you're doing that.
I wish I
Give
could.
us a tool.
Wish,
So,
oh,
so,
tools.
so,
Absolutely. Got lots of those.
yeah. So give us some tools. So access consciousness, then would you say it's twofold? You've got a bars session, and a bars session is, again, the fingers, is it on just on the head?
Yep, just on the head. There's 32 points on the head.
Okay.
And when you hold those points, what happens is it dissipates the electromagnetic component of thought, judgment, right and wrong.
But are they like meridian endpoints? Like what points are they? Are
No, there's
they
something that
neurovascular
is,
points? Are they?
nope, there's certain, pardon me, I shut that just so you
Oh,
don't
I'm like, now what's happening back there? Okay.
have to watch the guy. I know. Because, you know,
Got
as
a
he's
lot
out there
going on
checking his
over there.
phone or whatever, it's like, I just figured I'd, you know,
Okay.
turn that distraction down just a little bit.
Okay.
I'm hard enough to listen to as it is. Let's, you know, let's make it as easy as possible here. So there are some points that actually correspond to certain other techniques, whether it's acupuncture or kinesiology, for example.
Yeah.
And there was an article shortly after, I guess the bars had been in the world about 10 years. There was an article in the New York Times that said that if you stimulate these 2 points with electrodes, you
Mm-hmm.
could induce several hours of joy or several hours of sadness, which these are joy and sadness bars. So
Mm-hmm.
in other words, that's why when we, you know, we do this when we're stressed or whatever, we're
Totally. Yeah.
thinking or whatever, right? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that's how this works it actually accesses something, pardon the
Yeah.
pun, but
Yeah.
it accesses something that we have available.
Mm-hmm.
But this information, until Gary channeled the information. Gary's the founder of Access.
Mm-hmm.
I've been part of co-creating it for the last 20 years, but he
Mm-hmm.
actually channeled the information 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so it didn't exist before that.
Mm.
And so the interesting thing is, after he channeled, the people he was channeling were like, okay, it's up to you now, get to work. And so
Mm.
it wasn't this sort of spiritual channeled modality. It was like, you need this information. Okay, now take it. And now you
And
got to explore the rest of the universe of what's possible.
wow.
So people say, how does it work? I'm like, well, I can tell you what I've seen as how it works. I can tell you what I've seen about the effects that people
Mm-hmm.
get. But if you want neurophysiology, I've got
Mm-hmm.
some ideas. We've done studies where it shows it changes brainwave patterns dynamically. In
Wow.
fact, the reason we did our first study was because a neuroscientist who wasn't interested in it at all had somebody, while he was studying them, one of the people that works with him wanted to test the brainwave patterns while they were getting bars run. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, are you serious? Another friggin' thing? Because he'd been studying meditation, people who meditate for 15 years. And once he saw the results, he went, okay, we got to study this. He'd never
Wow.
seen anything like it. He said, this creates the result in an hour that 15 years of meditating does.
What?
So yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And I'm not knocking meditation, don't get me wrong.
No,
Like,
no, no.
whatever works
No,
for
I
you.
hear that. But and
But
it holds. You're saying after you have a bar session, it holds?
I'm saying it holds, but you still got to do the work.
Yeah,
Well,
I what that this is because I'm trying to understand it. So it sounds like, and how often are you supposed to have these bar sessions?
I say as often as you can, but you know, if you get it done once a month, you get it done once a week, get it done once every few weeks, it's really up to you. But what we say is you notice the dynamic changes from it for at
Mm-hmm.
least the next 3.5 weeks. But the thing is,
Yeah.
you know how that thing of does it hold?
Yeah.
One of the ways that we're wired, there's basically, if we look at it without sounding too harsh, there's basically 2 kinds of people in the world. There's the seekers And then there's the people that wonder why you're seeking. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
why aren't you happy just sitting on the couch, drinking beer and watching sports? I don't understand. Why
Yeah.
do you do all this weird shit? You know? And so for the seekers, the thing that we don't realize is that the way we're wired is we always desire more, whether we acknowledge it or not.
Yeah.
So let's say the bars or whatever you do creates a certain space. Well, within a few days to weeks, you actually become that new space. It's not different
Yes.
anymore.
Yeah.
But after that, now you're like, okay, what else? But the way we usually experience what else is, oh my God, I just had a problem come up, because that's the one thing that we'll use to push ourselves forward.
Mm.
So we need to recognize how we're wired in order to actually look at it and put it in the space in which it's actually what is acknowledging what is.
Mm. Well, and then it sounds like too, you have to follow up with, after you do the bar session, even if you just do it once, your thinking has to change. You have to bring consciousness in and start even choosing different thoughts.
Well,
Or not. Tell me.
here's the thing about the bars.
Mm-hmm.
Is the bars actually, yes, absolutely. In other words, you still got to do the work. It just makes the work a lot easier.
This
And
is,
it makes it a
this is
lot
what
less
I'm saying. I would
painful.
think the work is like choosing different thoughts. Tell me more about that then. What are some of the tools, or how do you continue the change?
Okay, well, let me just say first that the bars, they create this space where choosing the lighter thoughts
Mm-hmm.
gets a lot easier,
Yeah.
because it's that charge that we're attracted to that makes us fight against things and fight against people and choose to, load ourselves with crap. So it makes
Mm-hmm.
it a lot easier when you don't have that. But
Mm-hmm.
so let's talk about one, which is what's true for you always makes you lighter.
Right.
A lie always makes you heavier. And I think inherently we know that. But when you hear that, you go, oh, that makes sense. That's why I was listening to this person talk, and part of it was light, but part of it was heavy. And I kind of walked away kind of a bit twisted. Well, yeah, that's because part of what they were saying was true, part was a lie. And if we can acknowledge that we all have that inner compass, we all know. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that we continuously deny. And, it's sort of a thing that we've learned to do, is deny that we know, because if we acknowledge that we knew, then we'd have to actually be responsible for our knowing. And then we'd actually have to realize we've been choosing what's going on. And then that might not turn out so well if we're used to judging ourselves. So we'd
Right.
rather act like we don't know and it happened to us. So part of what occurs with access is you start to acknowledge that you do know. And then it becomes a matter of, okay, so I got these limitations. I got things I want to change. I've also got an awareness that there's something greater about me that I'd like to get to. How do I get there in the easiest way possible? So we have this other thing called the clearing statement.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we want to go into it, because the explanation of it, I mean, I've got an explanation on my website and it takes about 20 minutes. But
Okay.
from my point of view, it's a dynamic upgrade in personal development, because you know how people will say something and then go cancel clear,
Yes.
as though that undoes it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever noticed that doesn't really undo it?
Right.
You'll say the same
No.
damn thing 10 minutes from then, going,
Yeah.
I thought I cancel cleared it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this clearing statement, what it does is it asks to go back to the point of creation of wherever you created that and undo it.
Wow.
And so
the
with
root,
that,
you're going to the root.
yeah,
Oh,
you're
that's
truly
cool.
going to the root. And you're asking the consciousness of you, because we all know, in spirituality a lot, they talk about the higher self.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my point of view is, if you have the idea that there's a higher self and a lower self, you're always making yourself the lower self.
Mm-hmm.
So my point of view is, you're an infinite being and you have a lot more consciousness available. And we also have a definition of consciousness, if you could define such a thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is where everything and everyone exists and no one and nothing is judged.
Ooh, I like that.
And if we could live as that,
Yeah.
where we didn't judge us, we didn't judge other people, we didn't judge us, I've done this wrong, or and it's not about being perfect. And this is another thing where we get ourselves stuck, is because we judge ourselves for not being perfect, thinking, well, if I'm choosing consciousness, I must be perfect now. It's like, no,
Yeah.
consciousness is, oh, I'm choosing a limitation here, or I'm choosing to do this. Okay, now without judgment of me, realizing that what I found is people do the best damn job they can with the tools they have available.
Always.
So
Mm-hmm.
now, rather than judging me, looking at it, realizing it's a limitation, now what tools can I use to change it? And so that's what it's about. So if we recognize that, if the fundamental idea is that as a being, you wouldn't judge.
Right.
And as a being, you know. And with this idea of being able to use this clearing statement, and there's a short form for it called POC and POD, POC and POD, which stands for going back to the point of creation of a limitation, truly to the source, or the point of destruction.
Oh, I like
Because
it.
we create
Okay.
limitation by creating a limited point of view, or by taking an unlimited point of view and denying it and pretending it doesn't exist for us. So you could do the short form, which is POC and POD, and I call them the superheroes of consciousness, because you may have an energy. And here's the other thing, is that a lot of the things that stick us, we can't put into words. And if we could, it would take so many words that, you know, you could still only describe a portion of the energy that's going on. And so if we start to recognize that we're actually energetic beings, meaning we're so aware, and the thing that really sticks us is the stuck energies around things, and where we choose something that feels like it contracts us. Well, with that, if you notice, let's say, you know, you're about to go see your ex-mother-in-law or something. We might as well make it, you know, really intense, right? You know, and all the stuff that brings up, what you can do is just get the sense of that and go, everything that allows that to exist, I now destroy and uncreate it. Okay, which is your choice. Destroy meaning destroy the structure of it, the prison walls you're living in.
Yeah.
And uncreate meaning take your creative energy out of holding those walls in place, because we're the only one who can hold the walls in place, and get that creative energy back to create your life. And then you go POC and POD. Or you can do the long form of the clearing statement if you happen to be dynamically anal retentive like I am. And so
So you just say POC and POD or POC
yep,
POD?
POC and POD, or
POC and
POD and
POD.
POC, doesn't matter. Yep, POC and POD, POC and POD, POC and POD.
POC and POD. So that's one of your tools. I like that.
Yeah, and it's really the simplest form of trying to explain that particular tool.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who's actually interested can go explore it more. It's
Yeah.
called a clearing statement, and that's the website too. And
I will be doing that.
please do. And use it, and let me know how it goes, because
I
I
will. I
this
will.
thing has made life so much easier.
It's called
for everybody.
theclearingstatement.com.
Yep, theclearingstatement.com. And
Write
there's
that
just
down.
the video there of me explaining it, and tools, and you know, nothing to buy, nothing to, you know, it's like, I just want people to have this,
Yeah.
have
So
access to it.
what are some other tools? Can you share any other tools to help
Oh,
people
Lord,
really
yes.
change their reality and become unlimited?
Absolutely. Okay, so one other thing that you want to be aware of is that somewhere around 98% of your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions are things you're picking up from other people.
Yeah.
They don't belong to you. And to some degree, we all know this. Like, what happens when you hang out with unhappy people? You get unhappy.
You become unhappy. Yeah.
Yeah. What happens when you hang out with angry people? Usually you make yourself
Yeah.
less. So
Yeah.
you're not the effect or the victim of their anger. And so there's a tool that you can use, and it's called Who Does This Belong To? Which is an acknowledgement when you're in the middle of something that's not yours. If you ask, who does this belong to? And it lightens up it all. It's because it's something you're aware of, or something that you bought as yours when it wasn't. And it works not just on present time, but also a lot of the things that we think are ours are because we lived around those things. Like our parents had them, our friends had them, or somebody our parents were afraid of, or somebody our friends were afraid of had them. And so we're so highly tuned to that energy that anywhere it shows up, we're like, ah, you know,
Yeah.
and we don't know
Yeah.
what to do about it.
Yeah.
So if you'll ask, who does this belong to? And you can do it 3 times if you want, or 4 times. What happens is, let's say you're in the middle of, I don't know, freaking out about something, or stressing out about, you know, all this stuff with Corona, for example. I hate to date the show, but that thing will probably be talked about for a long, long time.
I was going to say, honey, I don't think when I run this, it will be 100% gone. So you're good.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And so let's say you get that stress in your world, just go, who does this belong to? Who does this belong to? Who does this belong to? And see if it lightens up at all. In other words, see if you get any more space around it, more sense of you being able to sort of be you, even in the presence of it. And if that's the case, then you're picking it up from somebody else. Well, how does this work? Well, if you study quantum mechanics, quantum physics, you know, and all those interactions, you realize that we're all interconnected. I mean, oneness is, you can try to deny it, but it just is.
Right.
And yet we've tuned our radio dial to certain frequencies far more than others based on the life that we've lived, the situations
Mhm.
we've had to go through and endure, and because fundamentally our mind functions as a survival mechanism. It always wants us to be aware of the thing that we must avoid in order to survive.
Mhm.
Well, but if you're functioning from survival, it's really tough to get to thrival from there because our mind is not oriented toward that. So
Mhm.
what I say is your mind is a dangerous thing. Waste it. Okay.
Mhm.
If you're thinking, you're stinking.
Yep.
And there's always another choice possible. So when your mind picks up on this energy of this stress, which let's see, about 8 billion people stressing out right now, where would you
Yeah.
get that energy? You know?
Yeah.
Well, so its level is rising, you know, as people take it and then hand it to the next person. It's like a terrible game of telephone. But if
Mhm.
you go, who does this belong to? And it lightens up it all, it's not actually yours. And then all you do is go return to sender with consciousness attached.
Oh, I like
And
that.
yeah.
Mhm.
And the thing is, you don't even necessarily know who the sender is. And a lot of people, they hear that and they're like, well, I don't want to give it to somebody else. I don't want to hurt them. Well, yeah, but it's probably not theirs either. When you return it to sender, it goes from them to the person to the person to the person to the person who
Mm.
originally had it. And then they can deal with their own stuff. And we actually have a free app for that. It's called Who Does This Belong To?
Mhm.
Um, Once again, it's an attempt to get people these tools, and it reminds you to ask because what I found, so the way this showed up for me was when Shannon, the girl that ran my bars, did it. She's like, I'm going to give you some tools to use too. You seem like you'll actually do it. And I'm like, baby, I will do anything. This feels
Yeah.
so good. I want to be like this more, you know?
Yeah.
And so she wrote, Who does this belong to on a little yellow sticky note? Excuse me. And when I emptied my pockets when I got home, you know, on the bedside table where my clock was, um, and I didn't particularly take notice of anything, but I left that little yellow sticky note there. And about 2 days later, I mean, I had so much peace. About 2 days later, I woke up with that old feeling like I just wanted to die again. And what would
Mm.
happen for me is here I was a chiropractor, a doctor trying to contribute to other people, right?
Mhm.
And I felt like I had no capacity to create my own life, right? So here I was in this same old thing. And what I would do is I would literally lay in bed and cry until the last moment when I had to get up and get ready and go help other people create their lives. So it's like
Yeah.
crazy, right? And so here I was, I woke up with that. My fiance had gone to work and I'm laying there just stressed out and crying again, thinking, oh my God, it's back. This is even worse because I really thought something was different this time, you know?
Mhm.
I look over at the clock to see how long I've got to wallow in self misery before I have to get ready. And I didn't even read the little yellow sticky note. I mean, I did, obviously. I saw the words, who does this belong to, without even putting any conscious attention on it. As soon as I read it or saw it, all of it disappeared. And I
What?
went,
Wow.
I literally, and I tell people that and they're like, seriously? I'm like, no, really. But I think I really had to get it. You know, if I'm going
Yeah.
to be talking to people about this actually works, I
Mhm.
really had to get it because I'm a little stubborn sometimes,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to believing things might work to change your world, you know?
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
literally disappeared. And I was like, I mean, I sat there for a moment going, what happened? Where did it go? And then I looked and read, who does this belong to? And I went, are you frigging kidding me?
Wow.
Because she told me 98% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to you. And I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah, sure they don't. You have no idea what's in my head. And
Yeah.
so I tell that story so people can hopefully at least consider trying it and realizing that if you didn't have to deal with 98% of the crap that's in your head, like if you woke up tomorrow and somebody had emptied out 98% of what was in your head and you only had to deal with the 2% that's left, that's manageable.
Oh, yeah. Really manageable.
Yeah.
I
And,
love that.
and
That's a great statement. Hmm?
if you'll do who does this belong to for 3 days to every thought, feeling, emotion, judgment, and weird, bizarre energy that comes up in your world,
Mm-hmm.
if you truly do it, it may be some of the hardest work you do, but at the end of 3 days, you'll walk around like you're in a walking, talking meditation.
No
And then
way.
what happens is when you walk down the street, you'll notice it's like some thought will be like, ooh, you know, and you actually start to notice it before it even comes into your head.
Mm.
Because right now we're so inundated and we
Mm-hmm.
think it's ours.
Mm-hmm.
We've got this idea, of course, that if I feel it, it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily. You ask this question and you'll find out. But then you can walk down the streets of any city in the world and have no thoughts in your head. And
Oh
then
my
your life
gosh.
can become like a walking, talking meditation.
Because with meditation, what are we doing? We're practicing witnessing and becoming the observer of thought. So adding this statement in, I like this because it's putting you in slow motion so you can actually catch it before it actually even comes in.
Yeah, that.
That's really
And
cool.
one interesting thing about meditation is, so I started meditating
Mm-hmm.
and and this was before Access actually. And here I am and I'm meditating and I'm like, I need to go check on the children. And I'm like, I don't have children.
No way.
No, literally. I was like, I don't have to. And I didn't understand it at the time until I realized this who does this belong to thing. Because one of the things about meditation is when you quiet your mind, what happens? You're more receptive to all these thoughts, feelings, and emotions from other people.
Yeah.
This tool makes meditation that, and also bars. It's like if meditation is something that works for you, do bars and then meditate. Oh, it truly, like a lot of the people that have done bars and actually use these access consciousness tools, they walk around like they're in a walking, talking meditation.
That's
And
awesome.
it
I
can be very
love
powerful.
it. I 100% agree with you that most of you're saying 98%. I didn't know it was that high, but that they're not our emotions. I remember one time I was at Starbucks with a friend years ago. We had a fabulous lunch. It was coffee. It was wonderful. And I said goodbye to her, gave her a hug. I was fine. I was high energy. Everything was great. And I got in the car and I thought I was going to fall asleep. I was like, what is going on? And I drove all the way home. And I'm an empath, of course. So still drove all the way home. But I was like, I feel fine. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoop. And I got home and I got out of the car and I walked in the backyard in the trees and I just started stomping my feet around and shaking myself off, like shaking as if I had, like dust on me and brushing myself off. And my energy came back in 2 seconds. It was like, whoop. And I said, well, that wasn't mine. And that really gave me this awareness, like it's probably 10 years ago or so. I'm like, wow, it's amazing that we really do absorb it. And if I wasn't aware, I would have probably said, oh my gosh, maybe I have mono or maybe I should go to the doctor. And then we build this whole other reality out of someone's emotion that's not even ours, that was just attached to us. So I 100% agree with you on that. And I like this tool.
It's awesome. And I'm so glad that you put that in also, and also acknowledge the physical part.
Yeah.
Because then we build this whole story based on a lie.
Exactly.
I mean, literally, I've seen people, I've worked with many people, many people, and been able to create these phenomenal results a lot of times because I look from this place that is different, that is this thing of, that's one of the first places I go. I use who does this belong to in probably about 95% of the sessions that I do.
Wow.
And I've literally had people who were in a car accident. Okay. They come to me because they know I'm a chiropractor by training and they know I do this weird woo-woo stuff. Oh, this energy work too, and consciousness stuff. So, but I need to be cracked. Okay, fine. And they come to me and I literally had this one lady who had been in a car accident and she was having trouble moving anything. She was so stiff and her neck had been sore for 3 months or something. And I went, this is going to sound really weird because what I do is I just be there and see what they present and follow the energy, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to sound really weird, but is this actually yours? And she went, what? Because she knew about who does this belong to, right? But never thought of asking it in that situation. I said, is this actually yours? And she went, what do you mean? I said, I don't know what I mean. I need you to answer the question so we can explore whatever this actually is. And she went, yes, no. And I went, okay, so let's find out what happened. And what we found out was she was in the car with her family that she cares about very much. She's highly empathic. And what she did was she did everything she could to take on everything that would allow their bodies to be hurt.
Wow.
And what was interesting, here's the other interesting part is they walked away with bruises, but they never had any of that. They had bruising, they had a bit of pain, but they never had any of that stiffness and that lingering pain that often occurs after a car accident. And I looked at that and went, wow,
Wow.
we
She took
are
all that
amazing.
on.
Yeah.
Wow.
But isn't it amazing that, I mean, for me, I think it's so beautiful what our capacities are. And if we can start to acknowledge it from that place, when I work with people, they tell me their limitation, and I'm like, you know what? From my point of view, everything you think is a wrongness of you is a
Hmm.
strongness that you haven't yet acknowledged. And so
Wow.
in this case, right, it would seem like a wrongness, but once she acknowledged, oh my God, I did that for my family, her whole world changed.
Wow.
And her body started moving within moments. And then we did some more access stuff, and
Hmm.
actually, yeah, did stuff that, beyond the scope of being able to describe in
Release the
30 seconds.
energy,
Yes,
release the
exactly.
thought. Yeah, all of that.
Yeah. And she started moving, but that was a pivotal point for actually changing her life, because nothing that she'd ever done in that realm was ever acknowledged. And
Mm,
this was actually a way that she had to acknowledge it if she was going to get out of pain and couldn't avoid it anymore. But the fact that it actually got her out of pain, see, this is the thing for me, is a lot of people go, well, how do you know that this energy stuff actually works? And I'm like, in pain, out
out
of
of
pain,
pain. Yeah.
not moving, moving, not
Yeah.
happy, happy. I'm like,
Yeah.
how could you not know it actually works?
Yeah. And we're all made it, we're all energy. Like it
Right.
just, it's not about working. It just is. Like there isn't
Exactly.
like, does it work or not? It's like, it's always working because it is. It's
Right.
like, you don't turn gravity on every day when you get up and out of bed. Like
Exactly.
it's just always at work because we're all energy. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, this is good. I could talk to you for hours.
I could
This is
talk right
fun
back to
stuff.
hours too.
um, so where would people go to find more about access consciousness, more tools? Like, give me some information so I can add it to the show notes.
Okay. You can go to my website, which is drdainheer.com.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of stuff there. We have so much. There's free video series there.
Mm-hmm.
I've got, I don't know, almost 400 videos on YouTube right now. If you
I
go to my
watched your
Facebook
one,
page,
your hold on, excuse me for interrupting. Your the 7 things the universe would tell you. I like that one.
oh, thank you.
That was a
That
good
one,
one.
thank
That was
you.
really good.
You know,
That's on
like,
YouTube. The 7, hold on, I'm putting this in the show notes too. The
thank
7
you.
things. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that one I listen to when I need to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of this stuff, so that's one. And then the main access website is accessconsciousness.com. We have so many things with so many facilitators around the world that one can be a little confusing sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, if you go to accessconsciousness.com/bars, you can find a bars practitioner or a bars class in your area.
Mm-hmm.
And, if that interests you too.
That
And
that was my question, and I know this is, but I wanted to you to tell everyone that it is an international, like it's international. So I don't care where you live, you can go and experience a bar session.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're in 176 countries right now, I think.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
when
that's
I
awesome.
started with Gary 20 years ago, we were in 3 countries.
Wow.
In the US, Australia, and New Zealand. And it's been beautiful to see how it's received.
Yeah.
People know when something works, and they also know when they're being bullshitted. It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, they do. It's true. It's
yeah,
true. And if it
totally.
works, it's going to take off like it is. So
Yeah.
clearly. This is awesome. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
Oh
Anything at
my
all?
goodness.
And I know we can talk for hours and hours,
Yeah,
but what's like, what else do
and
people
I
need
would
to
too.
know? Or,
Well, one of the things I'd like to point out is, it's like the big red reset button has been pressed on the world.
yeah.
And a lot of us have been asking for a reset for a long time. But like we do with many things, it's like you really want it, want it, want it until you get it. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm not sure I want it anymore.
Hmm.
And so what if we looked at this time as an opportunity to set ourselves up to come out of this far greater than we went into it? And how do you do that? Ask, okay, what am I going to have to be? What am I going to have to do? And what am I going to have to change? And actually put attention on that I may have been avoiding that will allow me to come out of this greater than I went into it. And if we look, and one of the questions I like to ask people, and some people get it, some people sort of try to get it, and it doesn't matter. There's no wrong, no right. I just say it for possible food for future thought and possibility, which is if you had a magic wand or you knew some major magician and could, or wizard maybe, shall we say, and could have anything as your life in the next year to 2 years, get the energy of that and what that would be like. And we're going to use that energy because that energy can be with you, even if you get it right now and then you think you forget it. If you get the energy of that and ask for it, you will start leading yourself, and the consciousness that wants to contribute to you will start leading you in that direction. And so you want to do anything that feels like that. So can we do just a real quick?
Yeah, I'd love that. So can I ask you a question before you do this?
Sure.
So are you saying that anyone can create any reality that they would like?
Fundamentally, yes.
Okay.
And I'm also saying that it's the points of view they have about reality and about themselves in relationship to reality that get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Because your point of view creates your reality.
Mm-hmm.
Reality doesn't create your point of view. So if you think it's going to be challenging, guess what you create?
Yeah.
And what happens is the point of view always comes first. The reality that gets created from that always comes second. But what happens is if you decide something's difficult, like let's say you grew up with people who struggled with money, and so you sort of are oriented toward money as a struggle, like I did, for example. Okay. And it took me a long time to get over that point of view. And I was validating my mom's reality, my dad's reality, my grandparents, et cetera, right? Which is one of the things we learn to do from a very young age. And we just carry it forward, not realizing that it may not have been our point of view in the first place.
Right.
Hence that 98% of thoughts, feelings, and emotions not being yours. Okay. So here you have the point of view that money's a struggle. So what happens is now money shows up as a struggle for you. And then you look at it and go, see, it is a struggle. I knew I was right because your experience tells you that.
Yeah.
But
you're validating your limitation.
Yeah, exactly. And you're validating your limited point of view. Because in order to have a limitation, you have to have a limited point of view. Which also, by the way, is the thing that bars start to undo. The clearing statement starts to undo. So every time the limitation comes up, go everything that allows it to exist, POC and POD. And it will eventually start melting because we layer these points of view in and make them solid because we want to be right and not wrong. So if we decide money's a struggle, we want to be right about that. So we keep proving it's a struggle and nobody can tell us or show us different. Until we're tired of suffering enough to where we're willing to open a door to something different, even if it's weird. So that idea that anybody can change anything, I fully concur. And they have to be willing to do and be whatever it takes to change it. But what I've found with the Access Consciousness tools, and the reason I do this is because it is the fastest change I have ever seen. And it continues to be. You know, it'd be one thing if I came to it 20 years ago and the level of change was the same. It continues to increase. We're continuously on this creative edge of what is available and changing things faster and faster all the time. But that's the way the world is. It actually, even though Corona looks like this big slowdown, in terms of us being able to change things and get to possibilities, that's actually occurring faster for people that I've seen doing Access than it ever has before.
Yeah.
And hopefully for people that are doing everything that is anything about change and more awareness and consciousness.
I love that. And I think that this world, we are at a place right now where we're more aware of energy, we're more aware of consciousness, and we're beginning to learn how to use that and really create our realities and see a big shift in our lives. I spent the week with Joe Dispenza at one of his trainings in December. And even I saw people after a week of meditation, working with energy and consciousness, get out of wheelchairs that had MS. Like, it was like mind blowing to me what I was watching.
Yeah.
And people that I personally knew, I was like, what is going on here? Like, just from working with energy, like, it's time to have these conversations because everything is energy. And we've got to pay attention to our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions and our beliefs. It is important because, like you said, 98% aren't yours and they're limiting your potential.
True story.
So, this is awesome.
True story. Thank you. And
yeah,
that awareness you know, if we can realize that, one of the questions I suggest people ask is, what's right about this I'm not getting,
Yeah.
and what's right about me I'm not getting.
Yeah.
And if we can recognize both of those, it totally reorients us from all the doom and gloom and trauma and drama that other people are making real. And it's like, oh, cool. Then what are the possibilities? Another great question is, what else is possible here I've never considered?
Oh, I like that too.
That is a wonderful one to ask.
Mm.
So can I run through
Yeah,
that
go.
thing a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
more?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'd like y'all to do, if you would, if you're interested in doing it. We'll see how we go. And I wiggle my hands when the energy moves, so that's just one of those things.
Are
I
you
tell
going to
people,
shoot me some energy, or all of us? I'm ready.
girl,
Come on, I'm
my
ready.
pleasure.
I'm ready.
Okay, so let's do it that way then. I like the way you're thinking. Okay, so everybody watching, if you would be willing to lower the walls and barriers you use to define you and to separate you from all the contribution that consciousness actually is for you and would like to be. And everything that is, can we destroy and uncreate those walls and barriers, please?
Mm.
Okay, that's a yes. Okay, then I'm going to
I'm
run the whole
speaking
thing.
for everyone watching this and listening. I'm going to say yes. Sorry,
Thank you.
I'm feeling all this energy all over my back. I got
Uh-huh.
lost for a second. Sorry.
That's okay. You just
Now I'm
go,
starting to sweat. Hold on.
girl.
Let me take off my sweater. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right,
Getting
here we
hot
go.
like that
I'm like,
is
woo,
really
it's hot all of a sudden. Okay.
that's getting found, you know,
Are
finding
we going to
you
Are
actually.
we going to levitate? Okay, go ahead.
You never know. Okay, so everything that is, I'm just going to do the whole clearing statement.
Yeah, go
Right
ahead.
and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. Now, everywhere you've decided you have to be separate from the gifts that the universe and consciousness desire to gift you, and everywhere you have been judging you as not worthy, not enough, and everywhere you bought that from somebody else, and continue to maintain that because letting that go would change your reality so much you're not sure you can allow yourself to. Will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. Okay, my beautiful friends. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to get the sense of the way it would be if you had a wizard as a friend, or were the wizard that could create anything as your life and living in the next 2 years. I say 2 years because it's a little too hard for you to define, and that's exactly what we're going for, so that we can actually have a sense of the energy, the space, and the consciousness of it. So I'd like you to get a sense of what it would be like to have the stress melt out of your body in your life, and not to have to ever pick it up again. And the realization that that would make you very different. And it would make you very different than you have been choosing to be. And although you would like to say that you would let that occur, realize how many things have been in the way of letting that go because you need to pretend you're not as different as you are. What if in the next 2 years you could allow yourself to truly embrace the true difference of you as a being and start to enjoy the gift of being you that you may not even recognize is possible right now? Everything that doesn't allow it, you destroy and uncreate it, please. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. So get the sense of the way it would be to wake up in the morning liking you and everything you're about, everything you're choosing, everything you're creating. Yeah, you may still have stuff to work on, but that's okay. You'll get to it. You can actually have some space to relax. Relax into the awareness that you are doing everything you possibly can, and that it's not going to go any faster if you stress. In fact, if you relax into it and let the universe and consciousness show you what is actually possible beyond your mind, beyond your thoughts, beyond your feelings, beyond your emotions, beyond the projections and expectations and judgments and rejections of others and of you, is a possibility for truly creating a life that you love, and for us together to create a world that we love being part of. Everything that doesn't allow it, destroy and uncreate it, please. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. Now, please get the sense of actually having ease with money. No matter what that is for you, it's not an amount of money. It's an awareness of being ease with money. We often have been told or have this idea in our heads that may not be ours, by the way. We have this idea in our heads that there's an amount of money that we must get to that we can finally relax and stop stressing. Well, if you ask for and are willing to have ease with money, the amount is far less relevant than the energy of ease that you have. And if you've ever noticed, when you're not stressing about money, it comes with ease. So what if you could actually be that miracle with money too? And what if it's okay to have money? Can you change the world more with money or without it? With it, of course. So what if it's not wrong? What if money is actually a gift the universe bestows upon you so that you can not only enjoy your life, but create a greater world for everybody? What if the receiving of money is a direct function of your generosity of spirit that you have with you and with others? Will you allow yourself to receive it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Get the sense of doing something that you absolutely love doing, where you wake up every day and you can't wait to do whatever it is, whether it's going to work or going to your business or working from home or whatever it is. Get a sense of having truly fulfilling relationships and having the frenemies leave your life and having true friends who do not judge you, who truly have your back, who truly see you as a gift, who truly contribute to you and support you, actually showing up in your life. And get the sense of being able to choose to create even beyond this as you choose. And get the sense of being able to do something that changes all the time so you're not bored. The sense of actually having ease with time and actually having time, not just to do that thing that you do or those things you do that bring in income, but time to do those things that you do that nurture your body, your being, and your soul. Get the sense of all of that being able to be accessible to you, and everything that doesn't allow it, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So, if you would allow yourself to have all of that, where do you sense it in your body? What sort of sense do you have of it in general? And notice I'm saying sense instead of feel and think. Sense is what you as a being do. Feel is what you do when you try to make yourself a limited being and fit in to the traumas and dramas of this reality. What if you didn't have to anymore? And what if this truly were possible to create in the next 24 months? Get a sense of all of this being available to you. If you will, just put it, if maybe you feel it in your body, or maybe you put it in an energy bubble out in front of you, and draw energy into it from all over the universe, from every source of contribution that is there for you that you may not even have known existed. Pull more into it, pull more energy into it, more, until your heart opens up. Cool. And now let little trickles go out to everyone and everything is going to help make it a reality for you that you don't even know yet. And now just acknowledge to you and the universe and consciousness you are asking for this. Even though it may seem impossible, I've seen way more impossible things show up for people. I've seen miracles. Allow a miracle to occur if that's what it requires. Okay? Miracle, baby. Let's ask for a miracle or whatever the heck it takes. Okay? And acknowledge you're asking for it. Acknowledge to you, I would like this. And then acknowledge to consciousness and the universe, because consciousness and the universe have ways of contributing to you that you never imagined possible. And that's when the magic shows up, is when you're willing to receive that contribution. And now, everything that doesn't allow it to show up, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And you feel free to open your eyes if they were closed. Whew.
That was
And
awesome.
now, thank you.
Thank
and now
you.
here's the thing. Anything that feels like that energy, do it. Even if somebody invites you out for coffee, or you get a chance to go on a trip, or there's a job offer or an interview offer or a book or a movie or anything that feels like that energy, do it. And what you've just gotten is, and people may need to go back and listen to it a few times, because I go through it quickly on purpose, because as soon as I talk to you about an energy, you get it energetically.
Yeah.
But then what we do is we try to figure it out with our minds and go, oh, is it this or this? Oh, it must be this relating to this. No, it's none of that. This is something beyond all of that, which is actually tapping into our natural, truly creative capacities. And that's really where that's the consciousness of us showing up. So anything that feels like that energy, do it, because that's the universe giving you knowing now what to follow to actually create that as your life.
I'm a little lightheaded. I'm like, woo, that was so good. That was awesome. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I feel like I just had a private session with you. That was really fun.
Yay. Thanks for receiving it.
I hope everyone closed their eyes for that. That was really good. There was so much energy coming out of my feet and my hands. I was like, whoa, it was powerful.
Thank you. Well, that's part of my job is to, I don't want to say activate you, but it's like to see you in a way that gets you to be you more, you know?
Yeah. You activated me, that's for sure. Thank you.
And I want to just say one other thing is don't trust me, trust you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I want people to know that is one of my fundamental points of view or awarenesses is trust you, because you know, I will just do whatever I can to contribute.
Yeah. I love that. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. This was really incredible. Thank you for raising our awareness to access consciousness. And I love talking about energy. So this is right up my alley. Thank you. And I hope we educated some people out there today. We help them learn a little bit more about this. I'm going to put everything you mentioned earlier in the show notes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to share? I think you gave me all your links and everything.
I think, no, they're just from those links. There's so many things people can explore, you know, and I've got free video series for people. There's all kinds of stuff. And of course there's, you know, books and courses and all that too.
Yeah.
I just want to say, you know, so, and also go for what's fun.
Yeah.
You know? Go there and look at what's fun. Like, oh, that sounds like fun. You know, if we lived our lives from the play of it again, you know, like big 8-year-olds or 6-year-olds, it's like, okay, this would be fun. You know, let's do more of that. And when you approach all this stuff, please do it from that place.
100%. Yeah.
So much more rewarding and way more fun.
Yeah. And it is fun. Working with energy is a blast.
Right?
I think it's so fun. I know. Yeah, for sure. All right. Dr. Dain, thank you so much for being here today on the Adult Chair podcast. I really appreciate you.
Truly my pleasure. Thank you.
Maybe will you come?
And a pleasure.
Thank you. Will you come back and visit us?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, cool. And I want to come see you. I want to do it in person.
Cool.
Do a training, but you're not doing them in person, I would guess, right?
Not very many at this point. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe in 2021.
That would be awesome.
Okay.
I look forward to it.
All right.
Thanks
so much.
It's truly been a pleasure.
Thank you.